everything. He was from Long Island, and he put a bear can out between here and our porch, and he took and shot a hole in it, in the beer can. Mom's 22. And then I took it and I shot a hole in the beer can.
How long ago was that?
I don't know, but they when we bought this house over here on the corner, the big greenhouse, their guy lived there, was a sharpshooter in the Civil War, and he had a book in the attic of a picture of him with his I guess his sword was up here, and it saved his life because he caught a Confederate bullet. And we took the book down to Gettysburg. I had great grandfathers in the Civil War there, and they had never seen a hardbound book of that. That was their Bible of a reprint, how they did in enactments and everything. But so he left it there. But but the only rule it said in the sharpshooter book was how accurate you can sharp. You can come from anywhere in the country. It's just how well you could shoot. He became a sharpshooter in the Civil War.
Where did the Mason-Dixon line run? Did it run through Kansas?
No, it didn't get to Kansas at all.
Well, it was just a territory then, huh?
Well, there was a north-south Mason-Dixon out at Lawrence, Kansas, in Kansas City, Lawrence, Kansas, where Lincoln came and tried to talk about, the Civil War. But no, my friend there, if I can grab a hold of the book, this is one of my hometowns. And nobody knows this, but everybody thinks Kansas is conservative, but they gave, there's a list of people that came there to play. You can leaf through that. But in that, he uncovers that Kansas sent leaflets down to places like New Orleans for black people, Negroes he called them then, or colored people. That wasn't a bad term then, but and nobody knows this, but Kansas gave 40 acres, and it said on that pamphlet, "Come to Kansas, he can give you 40 acres." It wasn't 40 acres a mule like the feds did, but they gave them 40 acres. So some of them went out there then, if they could stand it, in Kansas. But
there was a book written about what's the matter with Kansas as things have changed there, gone from liberal to whatever you want to call it.
No, I told Pam that they would vote when that thing come up about pregnant women. I said no, they would. They're not going to vote for abortion. Those old prairie women on the wagon trains, they knew what the hell they couldn't carry a dead kid in them and stuff like that. They'd never vote for that, which they didn't. They didn't vote for when that abortion thing came up. They didn't vote for it, Kansas.
Right. I think that surprised the nation. But
didn't surprise me. I told Pam, no, they'll vote against abortion or for abortion. Well, that's abortion.
For, but they didn't.
They did vote. No, they voted for abortion.
Yeah.
Well, I went to that book fair over Cooperstown. He asked me to speak for him one time. I did in the early days, and I bought this Bishop book. That's the picture someone did of me.
What picture is that one?
Yeah, that's just one someone did of me. Yeah, an artist. I think he came up here. And here's one.
That's a painting of some kind, Charlie.
Yeah, it is.
Quite nice.
Well, I'll show you one. Well, here's Here's a better one of me in Hollywood. Here, you can take a picture of this one.
Picture of you in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Hollywood. Ooh, look
I
at
was
that. Oh
hanging
my
with some
God.
actors there.
Lad,
Yeah.
you had it going on.
Oh, yeah. Well, that picture I gave you in that book of my 52 Buick Roadmaster I bought in Hollywood at 17. And that was, I was friends with Dean Stockwell. He acted in a lot of movies, and his brother did too.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, so where was
Well,
I?
let's,
Oh yeah, okay. I don't know. I don't even know if I probably should wear white gloves to see this, but.
oh, what is this?
This one I bought yesterday, Saturday at the damn book fair.
You bought it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why. So now,
Are you an impulsive kind of guy?
yeah, must have been. Well, he was asking $500 for it, and then I said, "Oh, that's beautiful," because it has some prints in it that are only in Washington D.C. It's a White House gallery, and he said he's asking $500, and I said, "Oh, that's got some beautiful prints in it of presidents." All the early presidents, and he said, "Well, I'll take $250 for it for you." So I had to buy it. You got it half price. Anyway.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's Jefferson.
That's a
beautiful.
Is that an etching?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are all etchings of early presidents. I don't know how far it goes.
Stunning.
Yeah, it is. So I sort of had to buy it. That's James Buchanan. Yeah. Etchings. There's one of Lincoln in there too. The White House Gallery of Official Portraits.
And this was,
I don't know,
looks like
presented by.
Yeah. Moore Memorial Library, 1926. This is a treasure.
Yeah.
Well,
so I sort of had to buy it, even though we didn't need any more books. Yeah. So I can't let the cats piss on it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to protect that.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah.
You can use that for your exercise program.
Boy, I'm telling you, that's heavy. So, yeah, the 22. So the round barrels were more accurate than the
Why is
hexagon.
that?
I don't know, because they could
The
spin.
rifling was better in them? Uh-huh.
Yeah, because they could spin in the hexagon. I don't know what you call the other one, but it's the end of it's sort of like that hexagon. It wasn't very accurate. Anyway.
So you were born in 39.
35.
35.
And the guy had a map of the Cherokee Strip there. He bought some of my books, but I happened to have on me. I didn't bring them for sale, but I just bought them to show.
You don't sit still. I'm not going to be able to video you.
I know, but shit. I got so much goddamn stuff, I don't know what the hell to do with it.
Well, you know where it is. That's pretty impressive.
Well, I sort of do, until I have to find something. There, this is about my grandfather. Grover Cleveland gave him that spot of land out there to run his stagecoach down to Cherokee Strip before it was no man's land. It wasn't a state yet. My dad was born there when it wasn't a state.
Partners J.C. Plymell and William Layton.
Yeah.
1885.
And they ran a stagecoach down.
So who bequeathed this land?
Grover Cleveland.
Grover
President.
Cleveland.
Yeah. And then my grandfather built the first house there on no man's land, which now is the Cherokee Strip, or it became the Cherokee, or Panhandle, or whatever the hell they call it.
So the contract was to carry the mail 6 times a week between Garden City and Fargo Springs, with stops at Plymell,
Yeah.
Ivanhoe, Santa Fe, Loco, and Springfield. The contract paid $2,999, which is a
Big
lot
money,
of money.
Big money, yeah.
So, wow.
And then you can look up, you can Google Plymell, Kansas. There's a Plymell Union Church there and the Plymell School.
Is that all from your grandfather being there?
Yeah, because that's where his stagecoach started, that little plot of land there.
So there's a picture of the
You
stagecoach.
can take that, that's just a copy.
They ran, looks like 4 horses on that stagecoach.
Yeah. I don't know, it's rough land. And then my gosh, I was telling you, the grandfather was written up in some paper in Oklahoma for saving somebody's herd in the blizzard. They have 1880 blizzard out there. And he saddled up his horse, saved a herd of cattle from the blizzard. Now, I don't know where he took him. He must have took him down to his house or some damn where in a shelter.
Single person on horseback.
Yeah.
Got them to follow him, or?
Well, I don't know. He probably had some help to saddle up, I would imagine. But you can't even get a goddamn kid in a snowmobile to save a cow in this goddamn country. But he got on a horse and saved a herd.
Well, those were a hell of a lot more important then than they are now.
Yeah. And he probably brought him back to, he built a house in Liberal, Kansas, where he's buried. And he dragged it down, that ain't the term they used something else, down to no man's land on the Paladero in the Oklahoma Strip to his ranch there. So he had the first frame house on the strip on Panhandle of Oklahoma.
Not a soddy.
Yeah.
Frame house.
Yeah, pulled it down there, drew it down there with probably oxen and maybe, probably, I don't know.
They used to ship glasses in straw-packed crates.
Yeah.
Out of Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, New York?
No, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Yeah.
They got a museum there that shows how they had a glass blower blow a cylinder.
Yeah.
And then they would take that cylinder and slice it while it was hot, and it would lay open. And that would become a pane of glass.
It would.
Yeah.
How they could get it that damn flat?
Well, they blew it in a cylinder.
Yeah.
And then when it was hot, they slid it.
Yeah, but how would they mash it that flat?
It would just lay open.
Yeah.
No, they cut the end off. They cut the ends off. Like if you cut this.
Oh yeah, I understand.
This off, slid it here, and then it.
Well, that's where the first oil came from down there.
Yeah.
There was a Plymell oil fields down there too that everyone pissed off. They gave money. Well, I did get money from them, but I pissed it off too. But that's how the Koch brothers knew of me. When I went out to Wichita one time, they had a world-class restaurant and they fixed dinner for me and my son and my sister. But someone told me they're buying up all of Kansas for the water rights.
Yeah, that's going around worldwide.
Yeah, well, look what the damn it's bringing there. And our section brought several $1 million, or one section of farmland, mile square, that I grew up on. It's crazy as hell.
So your grandpa was the start of it out there. Then your father was born when?
And shit, I have his Siemens papers here, 1920. Well, he was born right at the turn of the century, 1900. something like
My
that.
grandmother was born in 1902,
Yeah,
and my grandpa was born in 1894.
yeah. Well, that's about the time of my grandparents. I have a.
So you were born at home?
Yeah, I was born in Holcomb, Kansas, in a converted chicken house. A family of 7 in a converted chicken house. There's a picture of it.
Well, that's a regular mansion for chickens.
Yeah. This guy that did, he just called today, by the way. The guy that did, that worked with Andy Warhol did a book of mine recently. I don't know why he wanted to publish it. It just has the same stuff in it. You know, that one ain't for sale. I says, God damn it, I can't get a hold of what I want. I thought I had a paper back in there. Anyway. Yeah, what the hell is this? Yeah, that's a picture.
You're pretty flexible for 75 years old.
Yeah, well, I've worked all my life. Haven't missed a day. So that's a damn son of a bitch. You have to keep it up. You learn how to cuss from my dad. Well, he had to start our John Deere tractors with a big wheel, compression start.
Yeah.
So I learned all the cuss words when he was trying to start the tractor. It was a big wheel about this big. You had to turn it to get the compression going to start the damn thing. Anyway, he came up here to photograph me. He's a friend of the famous artist Andy Warhol. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, Warhol was from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a museum there.
Yeah, actually they offered me a job at Carnegie Mellon, but I didn't take it. I handed it off to some kid who was crying he didn't get it. So I didn't know that my favorite musician from the 50s lived there. I would have gone up there and taken the job at Carnegie Mellon, which I should have anyway. Well, anyway, Gerard Malanga, he was the one that helped Warhol figure out stuff. He came up here and did this book from 1966 to 23.
Hang on, he came here to Cherry Valley.
Yeah,
and
he
so
comes up to visit. And he used that picture because he's from New York City, so he went to the Federal Archives and got that picture. He did it like a city person would. But I said, hell, you could have used a picture of our chicken house. It was worse than that. And that looks like my dad and me, and you could have used my pictures.
Who's the third person there?
I don't know. That's from the National Archives. It's a well-known photographer. That's probably why he shows it.
I think I saw that hat in your poetry book.
Well, the hats are very. My dad bought me a Stetson. He wore a big Stetson, of course. But I had a Stetson when I flew out to California with a guy, and they seated me first class all the time. But a 10X Stetson in those days would be $100. An X for every $10. And he bought me a $10 1X Stetson because I rode a horse in the sale ring, and he sold a horse for a lot of money because I rode it. I don't know. I was probably old as I was when I drove his wheat truck at 6 years old. Anyway.
So you made the horse behave and look good.
Right.
So he rewarded you with a
10X
with a brand new Stetson.
Yeah.
I used to shit out on the prairie. That's one of your poems?
Yeah. I don't know. You selected ones I never knew about. Actually, I was telling my doctor here at the clinic that was a lot healthier than toilets to do.
Yep. God damn, you're a little bit of a treasure, lad. So you were born out there, and you lived in the chicken coop. How many brothers and sisters?
7, family of 7 in a
So
chicken coop.
5 brothers and sisters, and then
2 of them chicken coop.
Did your mother lose anybody in birth?
Probably, yeah. Everyone did. I think there was another son. First one. Something.
When was the Dust Bowl?
Well, it was when I was born. She had to put wet rags around our face to breathe. Willie Nelson was born and went on down towards Texas in the same dust storm that came through. It killed a lot of people in the next county over.
So he was born in the same dust storm as you?
Yeah, it rolled down towards Texas.
God damn.
Or came up from Texas.
What a connection that is.
Yeah.
Have you talked to him about it?
No, I can't get to him. He's the one that does Farm Aid, huh? I don't know what the hell he's smoking. Farmland sells for $1 million an acre.
It's a lot of money for. There's got to be something there.
Well, something's happening. It's crazy as hell. I don't believe it. I mean, I learned from a kid named Tony I sort of met. He lives in Mexico, old Mexico, and cooks. He's a cook. He's Tony the Mexican, he says on this cafe thing. But he said the Plymell farm sold for over $2 million. Now, I can't remember. I think we only had one section that from Holcomb. We moved to a farm up above Ulysses, Kansas. Best wheat land in the world, you could say, because my dad knew the land. Best wheat land in the whole world. But I think I don't remember a section is 640 acres, right?
I could confirm that, but
mile square.
It sounds right.
Yeah, mile square. And he said that sold for $2 or $3 million. It was well over $2 million. So that's crazy.
They're draining that aquifer in the ground there.
Well, see, that's another goddamn government screw up. I'll tell you what happened, because I know what happened. Because the guy that used to truck with my dad during the Depression, he drove for a wrestling company, so he had a job. That's where he got those Navajo rugs stopping in Gallup, New Mexico, and trucking. He said he trucked a load of apples or oranges, I don't know what, into Chicago once and dumped them because nobody had enough goddamn money to buy an apple. And so before he got out of Chicago, someone put a gun in his back and made him go vote for someone. Anyway, the guy that trucked with him, he stayed up there in western Kansas and bought more land like, a billionaire would today. I mean, he'd be worth several billion today. And what happened is there was a time when they had too much wheat on the market, so they couldn't stabilize the price. And so they paid farmers not to grow wheat.
Yeah.
So this guy, I made a joke. I said, well, they park their big John Deere tractors on Plymell Road as a lawn ornament and keep their cestas and beechcraft in their barns in the back. But what happened is he got several $100,000 a year every year to not grow anything. So he'd fly over his land, or his kids would fly over his land in a plain and look at nothing growing. However, they would irrigate, say, a quarter section, and they grew more wheat per acre on that quarter. See, Kansas was meant for dry land farming. It wasn't meant for irrigation whatsoever. They would grow more bushel to the acre on the little, say, a quarter section that they irrigated, and so it didn't help. It didn't help stabilize the wheat. It grew more wheat. Yeah, that's the government. Grew more wheat instead of keeping wheat down. They grew more, and then they ruined the aquifer by sucking the water out of it.
Yeah.
So
they're doing that down in Texas too. They're pulling a lot of water.
T-Bone Boone, he did that for a while in Texas, but in Texas you can drill water anywhere and steal it off anywhere you want. But in Kansas, you have to go by the footprint of the land. So the Koch brothers have to buy up the farmland, to get the water. It's more precious than oil now.
So
nobody knows this but me, I guess. I don't know. Who else knows it? That's how they started ruining the aquifer. The aquifer started draining now.
Yep. It hasn't been replenished, and it's just getting.
No, everything.
It's getting critical now.
Everything.
So you grew up on the farm.
Yeah.
There's a picture of your mother with her horse.
Yeah.
And she's got her 45 in her hand.
Yeah.
She had some nice boots on in that photograph.
I didn't notice. That was the other thing. Boots and hats. I mean, you had to have that. And oddly enough, cowboy boots are more comfortable walking than anything. I still got a pair I got in Tijuana, Mexico. Mexicans make the best boots. And I still got them upstairs. I wear them every once in a while.
Hers were lace up.
Yeah, well, and my dad,
real tall.
He wouldn't wear a shoe. He had to have lace up shoes for a while. I mean, I guess that's to protect you against snakes and stuff like that. Scorpion, well, out in Arizona. Now, it's complicated because my dad had land all over in Cibola, Arizona, that no one knows about, right on the Colorado River. In Blythe, California, from downtown to the Colorado River border there, where the bridge is from Arizona to California, and South Dakota, and Kansas, and Colorado.
How was he able to afford to buy that land?
Because that wheat land, he did the wrong thing, of course, by selling it. I'd have been a billionaire. But what the hell they call them? Mennonites bought it. They called them hook and eye Dutchmen down there in Kansas because they had to wear hooks like galoshes used to wear. Because
hook and eye Dutchman.
Yeah. Because
was that a derogatory term or just?
Well, it's what they did. They had everything had to be these things like galoshes. You remember the old galoshes you'd hook over and put them in something. But well, the buttons were. There wasn't no derogatory terms in. I mean, no one gave a shit.
The skin was not thin back then.
No, and actually, colored was a term of respect.
Yeah.
Until Alan Ginsberg came to Wichita to see me, and then he wrote a poem about Wichita. People in Wichita call them niggers. We didn't call them niggers. We called them colored. We'd go over to Colored Town and have barbecue with them and everything else. And even the woman that did the front of the bus thing down there, she said, well, all colored people should come here. They used the term. It was only, to show you how stupid the goddamn language is, it was only when they put colored only and took pictures of it, then that became a derogatory term. It wasn't derogatory at all. It was a term of respect.
So what was Ginsberg doing? Just stirring up shit with his poem?
Yeah, he stupid ass. He came to Wichita to see me, and then he wrote a goddamn stupid poem. Of course, it was published all over, and
Yeah, he had a pretty high pulpit. A lot of people.
oh yeah, he did. He damn sure did.
So before we jump to him, when did you leave the farm?
Well, it's hard to say. I don't know how long I lived in the chicken coop, and then let's see. I think we went to California in 1939. That was a great trip. In the back of our camper and limousine, our 1939 International truck. Put a tarp on the back, made a home in the back of it.
Uh-huh.
I remember the tires on Route 66, and I recited my first poem to my sisters. I can't say I wrote it because I didn't know how to write. It was 1939. I was sick. How old? 35
4.
to 39? 4. Yeah, I composed my first poem at 4. You want to hear it?
Sure.
Vacha picha, vacha picha, vacha peep, picha boo. Hip hip hooray, the dogs are coming.
Man, you were growing obtuse at the age of 4.
Yeah. And we went to our aunt in Yucaipa, California, had an orange grove. And I can remember it as pure as a picture, because it was paradise. And you could go a little creek in the back of her orange grove, and the water was sparkling. You could drink out of the creek. And the big navel oranges, not the ones that I thought were grapefruit. I mean, they were grapefruit over the price chopper. I thought they were oranges, but big navels would drop to the ground, and people come by to pick them up and eat them. No one cared. And they'd have orange festivals there, and the whole damn air smelled like orange blossoms.
Oof.
No, it's paradise. And
so how long did you stay out there, or did you come back?
because my dad either bought or rented a house there in Yucaipa, and and California didn't have a kindergarten, so my sisters made a little, they called it Yucaipa Valley School or something for me to learn at our house. And
Oh, so you lived out there?
yeah. And my mother, I remember her driving a truck full of oranges, and it didn't have a door on it. No one gave a shit, and I was hanging on, but I was dragging a stick to annoy her, dragging a stick on the pavement with a truck with no door and a load of oranges. And my cousin, he was in World War II as a pilot. I remember he used to take me on the handlebars of his bicycle and swerve so I'd get scared. And no, it was paradise. 1939. It was the age of the great cars, great movies, great everything. 39. Paradise. It was. And then we came back to Kansas, and then that's when my dad must have sold some of his land in no man's land, or what was now Oklahoma Panhandle, and he bought up there at above Ulysses, the best land in the world. He knew about it.
The guy was
he knew land.
He was what would you say? Real estate baron.
Well, he was like George Washington, because that's what George Washington did up here. I told you that in that book. I read about the Loomis brothers gang in the 9 Mile Swamp up here. George Washington came up here, and he was embarrassed that they were stealing the land from the Indians, and he sort of knew that he shouldn't do that. So he passed a bill to buy the land from the Oneidas and whoever at half cent an acre. And then he knew that, and then so he got all of his buddies to buy up land, He said this was great land up here. He was right up the hill. He came right past this house, and then he got his buddies to buy up all the land and sold it for 10 cents an acre. So he was the first land speculator, and my dad was doing the same thing, but he shouldn't have sold it. That's where he made the mistake. Yeah.
Well,
my mother wouldn't have sold it. They got a divorce. And she got his '39 Buick limousine, sort of a limousine. The seats rolled up between the front and the back, and it had big tire mounts on it. I drove it up to Pikes Peak. Mom took a job at Tabernacle, Fraser, Colorado, and I drove her up there. It would go right up the hill. It had a floor stick shift. I put it in second.
Did your parents separate? Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
Yeah. And in those days, women couldn't get a lawyer like the men could because they knew everyone there. And she got some money, and we had a '39 Buick, sort of like a limousine that he bought in Chicago. Probably belonged to the gangster up there. So it had a window that rolled up between the front and back seats and everything. And it climbed right up to the Continental Divide in second gear. It was like a freight train. My dad told me that the steam engine, no one knows how fast it could go. She keep shoveling coal in. It wouldn't stop. That Buick was like a straight 8. And we had a straight 8 that I drove. And we had a pre-war 1940 Chevy Coupe and a 1940 Ford Coupe. My sister and I stole the Ford Coupe. Dad had it down on Main Street in Ulysses, and of course you left the keys in the car all the time. And when the war ended, we took it and drove up and down Main Street honking, and then Chevy and Ford Coupe, '39 Buick, and a '39 Packard, baby blue Packard, with tire mounts on the front. Beautiful machines. 39 Packards.
My father moved us to California from Worcester, Massachusetts, and we traveled in a Packard station wagon.
My God.
Right down Highway 20 all the way to Ainsworth, Nebraska. And
goes clear through to Oregon, Albany, Oregon. Damn.
So you moved back, and your dad's moving around. Did he go back to farming again?
Well, yeah, he bought the land up in South Dakota, and then he invented that plow and got that crawler dozer to pull it. I drove that all the time.
The big X of discs.
Yeah, you see them. They came out and took pictures, and they started manufacturing smaller ones you see today that you can put up on wheels. Same principle. He invented the principle, but made gigantic plow out of it, like it would.
Flat land
and I had he welded the plow together down in Kansas. I had to help drive it up there, and that TD-18 International crawler that was fit. He had 2 real trucks. I loved him. I even had dreams about him. That's where I learned to cuss more because they didn't have synchromatic shift. You had a double clutch. Rio, best truck, beautiful trucks. And I had to drive them to South Dakota when I was 13. Hauling the plow and the crawler.
So when you got out of the family house and you started traveling, where'd you go?
In Kansas. Then that's when he took me down to military school in San Antonio, Texas. And he went on down to South America. He was going to put it together another spread, he called them, to look over down there. He liked Uruguay, but he said the rest of them were, he liked Uruguay. It was cattle country. And he said the Flint Hills in Kansas were a lot like Uruguay's grass, tall grass, prairie. But he married woman from Costa Rica, and then she got mad at the cold up in South Dakota. We lived in a hotel in Pierre, South Dakota, and the St. Charles Hotel. Like an upper floor, like Howard Hughes did at Las Vegas. And then he divorced her, and when he was in South America, married a woman that was working for Pan Am in the office in Guayaquil, Ecuador. So she came back with him, and he had kids with her and stuff. But so he took me to San Antonio, got me in military school. They call it the West Point of Texas. I still got the book here, right here. But they did keep us busy. They had to, a bunch of kids. But they had the damn things. There's a picture of it, and those pictures I'm in San Antonio parades.
1951.
Yeah, and
so you're 16 when you're down there.
Yeah, and so I had they had the cavalry, the real cavalry, where you'd ride Roman style on horses. They had every damn thing. They had to keep us busy, of course, all the time. You know, that age, what the hell you gonna do? A bunch of kids, but they were all World War II vets, so I learned a lot. I mean, they didn't stand for any shit. And they said I was a good student and everything. So he had a 1950 Chevy. And then when he came back from South America, we went back to Wichita because he had bought us kids a house there, a little brick house on the little Arkansas River, beautiful little house. I still want. I loved that house. I'd buy it again if I could figure out how. And it went down to the little Arkansas River, and I could catch boats and stuff down there that came down there. And so then he traveled all over. But my older sister sort of took care of us. She went to the university. She went to the university out there in Redlands, California, and then back in Wichita, Kansas. And so I was supposed to decide. I went my first year, freshman year at San Antonio as a cadet. I was supposed to decide if I wanted to go back there or wanted to go to school in Wichita High School. I didn't mind. I kind of liked that military school, but I had a brand new Chevrolet, 1951 Chevrolet, brand new. Gas, I could find it. One of my brother-in-law owned several Phillips 66 stations, and they go on gas wars, and you could find gas for 25 cents a gallon. Now, and I could lie about my age and get a job anywhere, which I did. Started working everywhere. So, if you had a new car and gas was 25 cents a gallon, you could get a job anywhere you wanted. Lie about your age. What would you do? You wouldn't go to high school, would you? High school was in the rear view. It's a waste of time. Route 66, here I come.
High school's in the rear view mirror.
Yeah.
Right? So
high school in the rear view.
Which way'd you head?
Route 66.
Yeah.
California.
How far? You went all the way to California?
Well, yeah, we were sort of oriented to the West Coast. Mm-hmm. Always Western. We didn't know anything about back east. So, yeah, Route 66. And then I screwed up the new Chevrolet, of course, because it had a 6-cylinder motor, and I wanted dual pipes, so I split the manifold and put 2 pipes out both sides of the 6-cylinder manifold, which theoretically could help the exhaust, but it's a real stupid thing to do. And so I could have dual pipes. And then my dad was out in Blythe, California, I think that time. And I asked him if I could trade it in on a new Chevy. So I bought a 52 baby blue coupe. And he thought I had money, but I didn't. I financed it because the dealer was glad to see me coming, real stupid, and brand new car I got. And so he got mad at that and went and paid off the new Chevy, and he bought me insurance on like this stupid ass state. You could buy. He said, "Well, I won't buy you collision because if you wreck your own car, that's too damn bad. But I'll buy you liability insurance, which is only probably $50 a year or something in Canada." In this stupid state, I can't even have two old cars because of the insurance. Yeah.
So, you traveled out on Highway 66, Route 66.
Yeah, Route 66.
You got to California.
That's the song, you know, the jazz. Take your kick, get your kicks on Route 66.
Sure.
Beautiful song.
And first job out there, second job?
Oh, hell, I was working in Wichita. Man, I spun out of high school. I got a job making Vornado fans. The guy lived there in the same area my dad bought a house for us kids. And Vornado Fan Company. He later moved back to, I think he was from Louisiana or somewhere. He'd get cheap labor, but I got a job immediately in a factory working assembly line, and I knew everything immediately about everything, so they put me in, they gave me my own little thing there. I was in the rework division, so if there was something wrong with the fan, they'd send it to me and I'd fix it up and find out what's wrong with it, fix it up.
So how did you migrate to the docks?
Yeah, I wasn't of age to work yet. I was 16.
You were lying. You lied your way across America.
Well,
That's
the
fun.
docks came quite a bit later, and when I went to San Francisco, one of the times, this is after, I went with my dad to help in Cibola, Arizona. He had land that was completely, no one lived there, but I saw a thing on it on TV, and they have big, great apartment things overlooking the Colorado River. Our land was right there, the Colorado River, and there was no one living there except an old couple. And they ate wild burro. They had burro smokes there. They invited us to dinner and stuff like that. And, there was no one down there. Cibola, it was between. He had a farm in Yuma, Arizona, and then one in Blythe, California, and then land in between both of them at Cibola on the Arizona side.
Were you writing poetry all this time?
No, I was just too busy working. I was driving Caterpillar dozers and stuff like that. But anyway, I went back to Wichita and screwed around a lot there. And then when I went back to San Francisco, and meanwhile, my dad had taken me through San Francisco to visit his sister. His sister was there. I got a picture of her there in the governor's car. Yeah, shit. And she lived there, so I knew, and he knew San Francisco, so it was kind of a place like Oregon that the family lived in for a while. And anyway, I had several jobs there. I printed Robert Crumb's first Zap there because I bought a little Multivis printing machine there, and I did printing.
So, what year was that?
Oh, yeah.
Close is good enough.
Bam! When did I print it? Anyway.
So you were in San Francisco at the time?
Yeah,
And
we
was
had
Crumb
our-
there as well?
Oh yeah, I had my own print thing because I had learned to print at one of my jobs in Wichita. I applied for it and they said, you know how to run a multilist, and it was a little offset press, and it could be sort of like an office machine or a real offset press. And they said, you know how to run the, I got a job because I said I was an experienced pressman. I said,
What is your
I
question?
said, where's the manual? And then I started teaching myself how to print. What year did we print Robert Crumb's Zap?
67, I wanna
No,
say.
something about that. Well, if you wanna say it, say it. He sent me his book there. It's Robert
I'm
Crumb.
pretty sure it was 67. And then
Anyway.
next year we went to Europe in 68, so,
Yeah.
and it was before then, so.
Yeah, okay, it was probably 67, but,
He's still kicking.
oh yeah, he lives over in France, yeah.
Yeah.
We email a lot.
I joined his Facebook page.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know, I should be on it.
Yeah.
Facebook page, you're on Facebook. Anyway, so, yeah, he lives in a little place in France.
South of France.
South.
It's probably pretty beautiful.
Oh, it is. Yeah, no one lived there. He found a place that was like Cherry Valley. No one lived there. But he promised me his keep on trucking thing. It was famous for, but he had to pay his lawyer because he's getting divorced. So I gave it back to him. But he drew a picture of me. Actually, it's a cover of
So
one.
you had the original Keep on Trucking.
Yep, I had the original everything. This is and a well, shit. God damn. Well, anyway, yeah, they translated my book, one of my books into France. That was published in Paris with Robert Crumb's drawing of me. What's in there? Something hanging out of there. Oh yeah. Well, I guess that goes with it. I don't know what the hell it is.
Looks like it's a photograph somebody took.
Oh yeah, that's one of the guys who did that book. Oh, that's the Malanga original he did.
So when did you start writing poems? When did you slow down enough to start writing?
Well, hell, I can't remember the one before. I composed it for. I can remember that song. Then, then I went to San Francisco and I got I landed on Ashbury Street, and some friends had moved there from Wichita. 2 houses on Ashbury Street off of Haight, of all coincidences. But it wasn't anything then. It was an old Russian neighborhood. I could go down and get pierogies and everything. And 2 kids came over from Nevada. They had sold their parking lot. There's another little paperback in France. They 2 kids came out there from, that's that one. Then they did this one. This was done in Austria, in German, and then they did one. This is the one I wrote in when I was at Hopkins, because Hopkins said if I come off the docks, they'd give me a master's degree. And I told you the story about Robert Williams, the guy who painted this cover? No. Robert Williams did this cover of one of my books. And he said Hank Williams used to come down to his folks' place and play a guitar for him at his folks' house. Yeah, like my dad, he used to tell the Mexicans to come over that worked on the gangs on the railroad, because they were all played guitars and sang. They were all happy, and the kids were always smiling because they, of course, grew pot along the railroad. And anyway, Robert Williams, I guess he's related to Hank Williams, because he said he'd come over, play for him all the time, for their family. And his dad bought, Robert Williams' dad bought a bunch of drive-in movies that were big at the time. Oh, I'm sorry, baby. I gotta take the cats to the vet. They can't eat the cat food. They got screwed up by it or some damn thing. Anyway.
Did you ever have any doings with Karouak?
Yeah, he's a stupid son of a bitch. I don't like him.
He's a stupid son of a bitch?
Yeah, well, we were at this thing with William F. Buckley that we went to with Ginsberg. I'll get back to Robert Williams and Hank Williams in a minute. But it's on YouTube, but the kid filming it never got the best part, of course. And so William F. Buckley, I kind of liked him. He was you know who he was on TV. And Karouak was on with him, two Republicans together. And so we went over there with Ginsberg. He was the one we got in there with. But Pam and I sort of kept way to the back so it wouldn't be in the film stuff. But anyway, after they left, we went past Truman Capote's dressing room. I guess he was getting ready to go on TV. And I knew who he was because of the murder in Holcomb, Kansas. He was out there. And my dad knew the Clutters, the family that was murdered. Anyway, I knew who Truman Capote was. As we left, we went by, he had his door open trolling. I said, oh, there's Truman Capote. And Karouak whirled around. He says, where is that little queer? I've been wanting to, I don't know what else he said, punch him out or something like that. Because Truman Capote said he wasn't a writer, he was just a typist, Karouak was. So they went back, and he whirled around, and we all went in Capote's dressing room ready for a big fight, which didn't materialize. It was Ginsberg saying, hum, hum, hum. And he liked it all, of course, and nothing ever happened by it.
So Truman Capote said of Karouak, he wasn't a writer, he was a typist.
Yeah. So that's why
Kerouac. Pretty raw insult.
Yeah, he was gonna. I don't know why he said he's gonna do that, little queer. So then that got settled, and then we went on down to the big steps of whatever it was, CBS or NBC studios. They were concrete and steel, kind of on the edge of them, and we were at the top of those. And then Karouak grabbed me by the collar and said, who the hell do you think you are? And so I started to grab him and pull him down the stairs, but then I thought, oh, I'll see the headlines tomorrow. Unknown poet kills a great writer. So, and I knew how to do judo because these are all my daughter's. She was a national karate championship. And so all I did he was half drunk anyway. All I'd have to do is pull him and he'd go tumbling down and kill himself on the stairs. And so I told him that. I said, you little son of a bitch, if you come any closer, I'll throw you downstairs to kill you. And so that settled. We went to a bar, and Pam sat between him and Ginsberg as a booth seat. And she said they were two most boring conversations you ever had or ever listened to. And then I sat with people who drove Karouak there. He couldn't drive. Well, he could drive a little bit, but Deal Cassidy used to cuss him out because he couldn't drive a stick shift. He ruined the clutch. So anyway, that was about all I had to do with him. But I
This
never.
is all in San Francisco?
No, in New York City.
New York City.
Yeah, it's the YouTube. Him and Buckley is a YouTube of it, but you can't see us because we were hiding. But the no, that just happened to be a thing, and so they invited me to go to his thing in Lowell, but I never did. He had a good ear for jazz, but he was a stupid son of a bitch. A friend Herbert Hunke from Chicago said, "Oh man, on beat," which was a thing of jazz people said all the time, or normal people would say. The stupid Karouak and the beatniks and Ginsberg thought, "Oh God, that's something. Beat. Oh, we'll start Beatitude and all kinds of shit." They had never heard it before. They didn't even know the language. So, to hell with them. But anyway, and I never read his book On the Road, but a French critic said one of my books was better than his book, Dr. Something. So I read that one of Karouak. I didn't think it was worth finishing reading, but
Did you spend much time in France?
no, we drove to, we went there in '68, and they were, every place we'd go, the world capitals, they were having rebellions, and so France, we were trying to go to the West Bank to find her mother, and it was over there, and the buses weren't even working. But we got a bootleg bus from Belgium down there to Paris, and then we were trying to get over there, and I said, well, hell, I know what, we'll send her some flowers, and then we'll get in the van and get out over there on the West Bank. And then, but the flower guy showed up, he was on a bicycle, so that didn't work. And then the state started getting the army to get buses to fill in for the city buses, because over on the left bank they had picked up all the stones and stuff and crashed the stores in. Her relative, her maiden name is Beach, and Sylvia Beach had a bookstore there. And there's a picture in one of those books. Hemingway caught her jumping out of the window when the Nazis came. But
What's that? Hemingway caught her?
Sylvia Beach, Pam's relative.
She jumped out the window and he caught her?
Yeah.
Hemingway caught her.
Yeah, there's a picture of her.
Pam's mother.
Pam's relative. Pam's mother's named Mary Beach, and her name is Sylvia Beach. Had a famous bookstore, Shakespeare and Company in Paris. They published James Joyce, Ulysses, and everything like that. And so we didn't stay there very long, and then we went to southern France, down in Caen, and then her mother, they took me to a restaurant there, a famous place, a Cupola, where all the famous people went, and they tried to feed me some stuff I wouldn't eat, and I hate French food, and so we went down to southern France, to Caen, and I had a pizza that I went to Venice to, had a pizza or something that made me sick. I couldn't shit at all. And so we rented a car. I drove to Spain, and we stopped at Gaudi's, La Familia church there, the famous Church of Gaudi, and it was still fascist. There was pointed hats, and they came and keep track of us all the time, and so then from there we went to Madrid because Pam's mother knew that Clint Eastwood, who made spaghetti westerns, they call them over there in Spain. And then we finally got to a beautiful, exquisite hotel in Madrid for $10 a night. It was all plush, had a working shitter and everything. And I still couldn't shit. I mean, oh boy, here's a shitter better than Trump's golden one. And still couldn't shit. So we went to the Prado.
So the biggest memory here is that you're constipated and you're driving around.
Absolutely. And so then we took a train to the French, they don't call them borders, they call them frontiers. And then there was a little shitter on the railroad, public shitter. There was a hole in the ground and two places where you're supposed to put your feet.
Yeah.
And then you hang over the shit.
Uh-huh.
And then there was a woman waiting for me. And then I had on white bucks. And I let go in their shithole on the railroad thing, their public restroom, finally. So. Anyway.
Who was the biggest character that you enjoyed through all your travels?
You mean famous writers?
Well, anybody.
Well, I like William Burroughs and Neil Cassidy. Those are pictures of two of them, because Neil was from Denver and he was a Benny head like I used to run around with in the 50s. So I got along with him easy. And
Neil.
Yeah, Neil Cassidy. Yeah. He was Dean Moriarty in Karouak's novels. Karouak wrote about it, and that's what On the Road is about, Neil driving. And then they moved in with me. I had a 7-room flat in San Francisco for $100. So they moved in with me. And Neil and his girlfriend and Alan and
Ginsberg.
Yeah, and then Ann Buchanan, that girl from D.C. was writing a book about her. She came up. But
you and Ginsberg shared a fair amount of time.
Oh
together.
Yeah. Well, we lived there. Well, then that's where all the beats came over one night. I was having a party, and that's where the beat met the hippies. And some friends, 2 friends, got me a big thick book on some asshole who wrote about that period, and had a whole different take on how the beats met the hippies or some damn thing. And he said the era that went to Paris that we're talking about in the 30s, he likened that. He said those intellectuals of the 30s, I gotta get around to get that damn book, I can get around it. He said they went from them to the hippies. It was totally wrong, because the hippies, they were stupid street kids. They didn't know shit, nothing. I mean, the beats were mainly university people, at least. But there's Crumb's book he didn't send me. I didn't realize his folks were crazy as hell. And then where in hell is that picture of Pam's relative in there? And there's a book on Gaudi's church. Oh, God damn it. Books are like records. You can't tell what the hell for.
So you met Crumb in San Francisco?
Yeah. Yeah, we went over, we had the press and we had parties there. What in the hell? Yeah. Yeah, I was. For the, oh God, dang it. Well, I can't find this son of a bitch. There's a picture of Pam's relative there in Paris. Yeah, hell.
So the hippies were dumb street kids, and the beats were
Well,
intellectual academics.
yeah, they had all been to college, and the kids being geniuses together. There's one of them. And this book had a picture of them, of the hippies coming with suitcases and everything, and on the street and stuff. Pam said, well, they didn't have suitcases or anything. They just arrived in, like they were. Yeah, so then I told those kids from Las Vegas, I think they sold their place. And I said, well, there's a building for sale on Hay Street. Good deal. And then they bought that, and it became the head shop where Jerry. And then the last time I went down there, afterwards, Jerry Garcia was there with his kids, sort of. And the old Russian women, they had to leave. Well, they arrived en masse, the hippies. It had nothing to do like that asshole said, a book that thick, all bullshit. And so, no, they arrived, it was like, a big protest scene or something. All of Haight Street was jammed. They arrived en masse like that. And so I took Ginsberg. He wanted to know, he came back from India and he wanted to see the Haight-Ashbury. And I said, well, I'll take you down there. And he wanted to make sure he'd get the spelling of Haight Street right, because there was a poet named Haight-Ashbury in the city. He'd think, well, Ashbury would think he was starting a Haight-Ashbury movie. He was joking. But so he got the sign Haight and Ashbury. And when they came to my apartment, the beach, and a hippie was there on LSD dancing, that's when they met, not like this stupid ass said. God, anyway. And so that's when we bought the two little buildings here at Cherry Valley, bringing Ginsberg back up here.
So you got out of Haight-Ashbury because of...
Well, no, it wasn't, because there's one picture of my wife's relative in Paris in a bookstore. And so, but no, when we bought the two little buildings in Cherry Valley,
That's all in English, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good book. She happened to be teaching.
No, but I mean the signage on the business
yeah.
in France was all written in English.
I guess so. Shakespeare and Company. Yeah. But so we were bringing Ginsberg back up here when we bought those two little red buildings down here.
Right.
For $3,500. We were on our way back to San Francisco, and then Ginsberg said, what are you going to do, start another Haight-Ashbury? You can't live in them. I said, well, hell, I can. I'm going to fix up a living space on them. I bought them. That's what we got them for. Anyway.
How were you making your money back then?
Well, back when?
Or when you bought the buildings?
There, I had 5,000 on me from, I think my dad sent me 5,000. They only cost 3,500. But we bought some beautiful property. We bought on Lancaster Street the Coates house and 3 acres. I let that go foolishly for 20,000 because we had to go back down to D.C. to get a job. Now I could get a job anywhere because I was a Hopkins man, for Christ's sake.
You're a Hopkins man.
Yeah. I got a job at George Mason, George Washington, all the Georges, and University of Maryland. And they gave me any course I wanted. And University of Maryland, my course filled up. They wanted me to teach short story course. I've never read short stories. I didn't care about it. I don't like fiction, but anyway. it filled
And they
up.
were doing all of this because of your notoriety as a poet?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so what happens is some kids from Hopkins came and got me when I was working on the docks, and I hated to give up that job because we got eye care, everything, zero copay, no copay. And it was the best job I ever had. Worked 6 hours on graveyard shift, get paid for 8. The longshoreman wanted to join us. We were Teamsters. We were Jimmy Hoffa loyalists. I wasn't a loyalist. I didn't give a shit, but he got a. That was because the company goons started to open fire on the truckers out here in Cincinnati. And the Cincinnati truckers went to New York City and got some mob guys to fire back at them in Cincinnati. So the Teamsters were born. And I was a Teamster. And a very strong
Where did you
union.
meet Pam?
Well, she came to San Francisco with her mother and her stepfather.
Uh-huh.
And I met her in San Francisco.
Did you ever take LSD?
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was legal.
Yeah, it was legal, yeah.
And we had a friend from Wichita. He was sort of a genius, but he was living out there, and he'd write letters to Sandoz and Company, and they'd send us little vials, glass vials. He'd break the top off, pour it down, and it was from the factory that found them, Sandoz Laboratories.
Right.
And then the guy named Owsley started making them later and put it on vitamin pills. It was, I think I took it once, the Owsley stuff once. It was as good as Sandoz. I mean, he was a genius too. But and then this kid would write Light Laboratories in England and get pure bottles of mescaline. So I had a cabinet full. Even that stupid asshole Timothy Leary would come over wanting drugs out of our cabinet. But anyway, so
Timothy Leary would come to your apartment and raid your medicine cabinet.
he would want stuff, yeah,
Uh-huh.
because we had Sandoz Laboratory stuff.
Uh-huh.
And he couldn't get that. So he was a stupid ass too. He was kind of later on his dying was sort of made sense. But,
What's that?
yeah, well, he was talking about computers and dying sort of makes sense. I was going to write my philosophy of AI, so it tied in. But even I remember going to a party, and a woman stepped on her hippie beads and fell on the stairs. And he was right beside her. He wouldn't help pick her up. I had to pick her up. I don't know.
Timothy didn't help pick her up.
No, he was just an asshole.
Ah.
Coach is what he was. They called him Coach Leary, some of them. But anyway, they worked at the docks. And from that, they came and got me to go to Johns Hopkins.
So you had published a few by then.
Yeah, I published one or two of my poetry books that came underground famous right away. There's one in there. The guy had one at the antique book fair yesterday. But it was all hand set. I don't know. I don't know if I have one here. A picture of me on the back of it. I lived in at that time I lived in a ratty hotel on the Tenderloin in San Francisco, which is another famous area. Some of them had girls on the old Tenderloin, and that's the race in the hole. There's get money from folks, and the song goes. Anyway, the Tenderloin's famous for prostitution, but there's a real ratty hotel there that I lived, and then my sister lived there, because she had married a lumberman in Oregon, and then they got a divorce, and then she became a prostitute, and I we went with her all over the West to madam's houses. And I met all of them and learned about all that trade. But then she came to San Francisco and lived there. So actually she died on the streets in San Francisco. She was an alcoholic too. And so the hippies arrived in masse. Happened overnight. It had nothing to do. And they didn't have any street smarts or any academic smarts or anything. You know, they were just kids. And I introduced Alan to the hippie scene, and that's pretty well documented. So then people got me those books by some fool that said, had it all different. Anyway, so I went back to Baltimore. I'd never been back east before ever, but that's where the Mason-Dixon line runs right through Baltimore. And they got a good train museum. That's where the railroad started too. A lot of things happened there. It was the third biggest city during the war. Anyway, so that brought us to the West Coast and then gradually up here because of Ginsberg.
Did you have any interactions with Garcia?
No, just sort of knew him. I took Herbert Huncke has a book of his. He was the one that named the beats. He was a Chicago hustler. He came from Chicago. I think that's his book up there. But he was. He said there's a piece on YouTube. My friend filmed him a lot. And Huncke said Ginsberg called him one time. He said, "Well, there's three of the people who started the beats," and Huncke thought he was going to name him, but Ginsberg named Ginsberg, Karouak, and Burroughs, which is erroneous because Burroughs said, "I never thought of myself as a beat." He always wore a suit and tie anyway. He said that. So.
Well, we are going to our house is for sale.
Yeah.
And we will have to return if it sells to pack all our shit up. So at that time, my wife will be back here in Cherry Valley.
She's in Oregon?
She's the whole reason I'm sitting here again, because I told her about
Where
saying hello to you.
Where is she?
We're in a little small village in the south coast.
Oh, yeah, you said that.
Port Orford.
Down below Crater Lake.
Yeah, and below Coos Bay and below Bandon.
No, all that's good places.
Yeah.
And
that's where we're going to consolidate and live.
Yeah.
That's our next adventure.
No, I would always live in Oregon. That would be my second. California's gone, I guess, now, so. But Oregon would be my second place I'd live if I wasn't here. And my cousin Alice, she was a well-known attorney, Alice Plymell in Eugene, Oregon. And she got a lot of women's rights and stuff to be attorneys and things. She knew the Kesey family, Ken Kesey. She sent me all the thing when he died. And Ken Kesey took Neil and them, and then they started a bus that toured all over, and they took LSD all the time. Yeah. Said, no, I don't want to go out in public taking LSD. You guys are crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
The pranksters.
Yeah, that's what they started. And Kesey went back up to Oregon. They buried him in a psychedelic painted cactus.
Yeah, he had a little house on the coast that came up for sale not long ago.
Oh, yeah.
It was a real simple abode.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sitting with me.
Yeah, his folks had a farm there too, Kesey. because my cousin knew them. She might have represented them too. But they had the first bus out there. And the first bus was a 39 International. And so I took Neil, he drove it. And I took him some driver's gloves because I knew the 39 International, they didn't have plastic yet. So it was made carbon steering wheel. And sooner or later, the black would rub off on your hands.
Right.
So I was the only one that knew to take him gloves. Driver's gloves.
Because you
Yeah.
cut your teeth on
Yeah,
International.
so he talked about it one time.
That's funny.
Yeah, but Oregon, yeah, I worked there in Prineville, where my brother-in-law had a lumber mill. I worked on the rock crusher, and then I worked on the Dalles Dam between Washington and Oregon on the Columbia River, beautiful river up there. I think it's probably all done in now, but I was well, jackhammer. They drill holes into, because it was a rock dam. Up in South Dakota, they had earth dam they made on the Missouri, but this was a rock dam. So they had to drill holes into the rock, and then I went up with a dynamite crew up above to drill holes, and then they'd plant dynamite to blow the rock out of it. Put the dam in there, Dalles Dam. And I bought a little boat, lived on that for a while on the Columbia River. And I worked for a farmer there, driving a tractor in Oregon. I forget where else I worked there. And then over at the Crater Lake, Crater Lake, Oregon. I had my 53 Roadmaster Riviera when I was up there. Drove from, I had worked on a pipeline down in, going from Arizona to California at that time. And my sisters lived in Oregon, so I have ties there, and my cousin. Good spot, Coos Bay, probably good.
So when we come back to town, we're gonna seek you out.
Uh,
I'm sure she'll have some questions for you. But
Were you gonna drive out there and haul stuff out?
no, well, we don't know.
She's out there, you're here?
She's out there now. I'm heading back on the 4th of July.
How are you gonna get there?
I'm flying.
Well,
You were a good-looking lad.
yeah.
Not that you're not a good-looking lad now.
A good picture.
It is a
No.
good picture.
I was with Dean Stockwell, and he lived up in the canyon where Sammy Davis lived next to him. And he was an actor. He played a boy with green hair, and then he played in that one. It's a crazy movie with Dennis Hopper. And Dennis Hopper was born in Kansas, about 12 miles from where I was born.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
A year later than I was born. But the Dean Stockwell, we went to some big deal, just producers and actors. And they were trying not to let me in, but I was wearing a 1950s hipster ruffled shirt. And then he introduced me as a Mexican movie producer. Made up a name for it. I got in.
Shoe in.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So,
Got to dress the part.
yeah, and then he and Dennis Hopper made that weird, famous movie.
Easy Rider.
Blue Velvet. Blue Velvet.
Oh.
And Dean Stockwell sings Blue Velvet with a flashlight like that. Yeah, no, it's a crazy movie. that actress, is the daughter of famous Italian actor or director. Can't remember her name. She was in it too.
Well, I got to trundle back before I run out of daylight. I've got a little chore going.
Oh, can't always have chores.
Got the chores going.
Yeah,
Packing up these big U-Haul boxes. They're going to come pick them up with a forklift tomorrow.
You need any empty boxes? I got a ton of them.
Oh, I got box. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about they're like a shipping crate.
Oh yeah. Well, if you need any cardboard boxes, that little shed out there is full of them.
Thank you.
So. But yeah, I gotta try to figure out. I got two little cats, and they have eaten something that their teeth and mouth are gone, and it hurts them to eat food. So I gotta try to get them to the vet. I don't know what the hell they got into. Anyway,